Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Hope everyone's well. As ever, at the end of the video, I'd love to hear your opinions or thoughts or questions. I think you want to comment. I'll say hope everyone's doing well, and yeah, peace and love and all that good stuff. So obviously this is part 2 of my video about spreading love, not hate, and like groups I want to support, and focusing on groups I love and how I'd want to support them and that sort of thing. So hope you enjoy it. As I said in part 1, I'd love to support like startups or SMEs and different things like that in different projects, all possible projects in what I call the 4 and Latin America and Ireland and places like that, especially in developing countries or poorer areas. And I'd love to support 10% poorest people in all possible countries, as I mentioned before. So yeah, I thought I'd finish this video before. Technically it is a new day, but I thought I'd finish it tonight before I go to sleep at least. So yeah, so hopefully August will be a positive month, as I said before. And yeah, hopefully I won't be too boring. Hopefully I'm not waffling. Sorry. And when I make videos at night, it's like quite difficult to focus. But yeah, so cracking on my list, number 11, I'd love to support like inventors from what I call 4, and also Latin America and places like that, as I've said, and like Ireland as well, and countries that are colonized, but basically. And like I have this funny way of trying to make up for or reparate people who I think have been wronged. Like let's say people from Mexico, when they've suffered from discrimination from like Americans telling them to go back to Mexico or things like that. I normally like try and Google their startups or SMEs and things like that. I don't know how much that really actually helps, but that's my sort of funny way of sort of reparating them. So every time like Mexicans or people from like Latin America or wherever else get discriminated against, I like to like support their startups or SMEs or projects like that. And when it comes to football, or if you like soccer, for any Americans out there, I'd love to support like Serie A or Italian football generally, and Celtic. And I'd love to get them to have like new owners, new investment to come in to Serie A and Celtic as well, like, and also Italian football generally. And I'd love like Italy, the national team, to be the most successful national team somehow. And the club teams to be the most successful in competitions like European or international competitions. And also I'd love Celtic to become the most successful Scottish club and overtake like Rangers' record. So I'd love to get like as many people behind that as possible. And I suppose I support Celtic because it's like as an anti-imperialist, because Rangers is like kind of pro-union or pro-military. So as a pacifist and as someone who's like an anti-imperialist, I love to support Rangers. Celtic. So it's not that I hate Rangers. It's just I disagree with a lot of their political. I suppose it's a strong disliking for what they stand for. Like I think they can be quite racist and, I'd say, imperialistic. They sort of sing "Rule Britannia" and things like that, and they believe that Britain should rule other countries and take over them. It seems like, and things like that. I mean, I'm sure not all of their fans think that, but quite a lot of them do. So that's why I support. That's one of the main reasons why I support Celtic, along with all the charity work they do, and like how it's like a family and they look after each other and that sort of thing. Generally speaking, and both sets of fans, I think, have both. I'm sure that there's some Rangers fans who are decent and some Celtic fans who are not so decent, but overall, I think that what the club stand for, I'd prefer Celtic, like all the charity work they do, and the fact they're not so imperialistic and things like that. They're more like anti-imperialistic. So even though I don't always agree with everything Celtic does, I sort of overall I think they're more ethical, and possibly the most, or one of the most ethical teams in Scotland, if not the world really. And like where they've been abroad, generally speaking, they get on quite well with the local people, and I think that's really cool, in my opinion. So I'd love to hear what people think, like which sets of fans do you think are more ethical, like Celtic or Rangers. Moving on, number 12. Again, yeah, I'd love to have like encourage like Arabs or people like that, people from Eurasian countries, transcontinental countries generally, Mid East and Mediterranean generally, and all that sort of thing, just to invest more in Italian football. I'd love like more people to invest in Serie A and even the lower levels of Italian football, as well as Celtic, and to encourage like more people to put money into them, just like they do in the Premier League. Like, and I'd love Serie A to compete with the Premier League and other leagues and become number 1 again, like it used to be. Number 13, I know like supporting Italian football is a bit like a bit of a mixed up thing of mine, because I say I'm an anti-imperialist, and like I suppose my one concession towards imperialism, if you like, is to support Serie A or Italian football generally, because in spite of the fact they're imperialistic, I think it's like I've said before, like because I think I look Italian, so it's a bit biased off me, and also I love the Mediterranean team generally, like Spanish, French, Portuguese, and those sorts of teams. Like, I mean, I'd love Maltese teams as well, but unfortunately they don't perform as well. So like following them in Europe or around internationally wouldn't be as easy. So yeah, I'd love to see Italian teams become number one internationally. Number 14, I love like Asia and Africa and what I call the four generally, and Latin America and Ireland and places like that to sort of network. I'd love to build a bridge between them all and like help them to network together to solve problems. I suppose indigenous people from places that have been colonized and that sort of thing. Yeah, to solve problems and all that kind of thing. Number 15, again, yeah, like to support people to start their own businesses, but also like their own careers or their own. Like if I could fundraise for people from, like I say, what I call the four again on Latin America or Ireland or places like that, to like get into music or like start their own singing careers or things like that, like fund them, like start their own business as well. Like if I could like fundraise to help them to have seed money to start taking risks and start a business, and then if they fail, they can always learn from that. Like that could be like I think setting up a business is obviously very difficult, but it's also like it's a bit like a school anyway. It's like you're kind of learning what. So if you set up a business, you don't have to succeed the first time, but you can learn from it, and like sort of encouraging people to take more risks in places, as I say, like Zimbabwe and across Africa and Asia and places like that, and again Latin America and places like that as well, and Ireland, as I say. Number 16, as ever, I'd love to share ideas on how to help those groups as much as possible, and talk about what sort how to bring them together. For instance, is one way which I think they could be empowered to achieve more. Number 17, I'd love to support things like India's Got Talent and how to bring Asian nations, especially, together more closely, like Pan-Asianism, more Asian unity somehow. I know that like a lot of the nations in Asia don't get on well, but I think it'd be great if somehow India, Pakistan, and China and places like that could, even Japan and places like that, could somehow get along better with each other. And just like somehow unite the whole of the Asian continent together. I think that'd be pretty amazing. Like in spite of religion or any other differences, to like say they see themselves as Asian as one of their top sort of priorities. And I'd love to see like people of color being united generally. And I think people of color shouldn't join the military, but should join like the police force or the law and that sort of thing. Number 18, I'd love to see like more professionals of color and things like that. Number 19, I'd love to support more women of colour, especially in Africa and Asia and places like that, as I say, and those developing countries, if you like, and what I call for, to like get into business like sports STEM for. I did want to get through to some videos like get around to do some videos like STEM for Africa and STEM for Asia and that sort of thing, but unfortunately I didn't organise myself all my time enough to do so. But yeah, I'd love to support like women of colour. And like black women in STEM and things like that, women of colour generally in STEM, so I think they'll be stronger together, so that like they can guide each other and teach each other and learn from each other and things like that. And number 20, also like mentors and role models teaching young girls about things like STEM, as I say, science, tech, engineering and entrepreneurship, and learning English and how to trade internationally and manage their finances and maths and things like that. Yeah, so I think that covers everything, and as ever, I'd love to know what you think. Hopefully, I know I'm a bit of a creature of habit, and I have these specific ideas I want to work towards, so hopefully I didn't repeat myself too much, and hopefully I didn't stutter too much, but yeah, so I'm out, and as ever, please let me know what you think. Peace out.